Not all creative arts jobs are created equal. I went to college starting in 1988 trying to be a musician, and that didn't work out so well. So one day I was stumbling through campus and I stumbled upon the college radio station. And that's kind of where the beginning of the end started for me. I started in radio, and over the last 25 years I've dabbled in lots of different creative arts and media arts. Most notably has been television. I've done that for most of the last 25 years. Many people have misconceptions about media jobs. They think it's all fun and excitement and glamour and glory, and that is certainly sometimes the case, but quite often not the case. So for this project I studied 5 different career fields. Radio, news, and talk show hosts, public relations specialists, photographers, advertising copywriters, and video and film editors. Today I want to play a little game of Mythbusters. Basically, many people think being successful in the creative and media arts is fun and exciting, easy work, and it pays really well. Let's find out if that really is the case. The path to success in media arts is often a road that has been well traveled. For many of these fields that I've discussed, college is important, sometimes critical, but oftentimes not necessary at all. I shouldn't say oftentimes. In rare cases, it's not necessary at all. The most important thing to do in these fields is to know a lot about a lot. And that can be gathered through your traditional, going to college courses, taking classes, and things like that. But more importantly, it means being curious and liking to read and just learn about lots of different things. And you can get that from a variety of sources. And then the last and probably the most important thing, and people don't always think about this for the creative arts, but certainly in the media arts, is to be a people person. Getting jobs, learning about things, involves interacting with people and being interested in people's stories and knowing and wanting to know more about what they're doing, what their lives are about, how what you may be doing affects their lives. And that's a portion of this process that most people sometimes don't understand and don't think about it. The second thing that I learned through this process was it's not, like the movie says, all about the money. If you can make great money doing this, but most often, and the vast majority of these jobs, are not going to get you rich, unfortunately. But through hard work and dedication, like most things, you can find a way to give yourself a comfortable life, and you can live that middle-class lifestyle that everybody's kind of hoping for. An example of this is, of the 5 fields that I researched, the highest paying field is public relations specialist. The average pay in that field is $52,000 a year. When you think about that, it makes sense because public relations is more of a business function, and businesses are in to make money, and they need people and can afford to pay the people to help them make their money. The least paying job of those 5 is that of a photographer, which is of course a pain to me because photography is one of my great loves. The average photographer in this country makes $23,000 a year. That's great if you want to be a starving artist. Not so good if you want to put your child through college. But of course there are varying spectrums of all of that. I know photographers who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And I know a lot of photographers who aren't making anything. So, that's how you get the average of $23,000. So with that said, the biggest idea that I think I came away with is that the people that do these jobs do them not because they want to be rich, but because they love them. They wake up in the morning thinking about it, they eat their lunch thinking about it, they go to bed wondering what they can do better about it. It's kind of an all-consuming kind of field. And that's kind of the biggest bit of advice I was able to gather from all the people I spoke with, is that if you're going to do this, you want to make sure that you love it. The third main point that I learned from this is that this idea that being in the media or being an artist is always fun and exciting. It is fun and exciting. I was fortunate enough over the years to interview presidents and world leaders and travel the world and see different things. Absolutely fun and exciting. The hours are really long. I've worked lots of 18, 19, 20, 24-hour days. Enjoyed every minute of it. Now, down the road in retrospective. At the time, there were times that it wasn't always very fun. Standing in the middle of a blizzard or standing in a forest fire, covering a hurricane, while exciting and exhilarating, it's a little scary. I've done that several times. And when the satellite truck that you're sitting in is on 2 wheels, and you're hoping that it comes down to the 4 wheels and not continue to go over, that can be a little bit of excitement, yes. Fun, maybe. Scary, definitely. There's plenty of grunt work that goes into this. The behind-the-scenes grunt work of schlepping equipment and working the long hours and starting as an intern and working for no pay, working for little pay, answering the phone at 2 a.m. after you've been at work until midnight. A lot of that is part of the job, par for the course. And people need to realize that you have to go through those levels in order to get to the higher levels. You know, it's not like an accountant where you pass your degree, you get your CPA, and you can just get a job. You know, and they're all about the same, at least starting out. There are definite levels to start at the bottom and work their way up. The other portion of this that a lot of people don't always understand is that promotion almost always involves relocation. You start in the tiniest towns, you know, and you start at the bottom, and then you don't really progress up through that particular business in that particular town. You want to go to a bigger city. And then when you kind of conquer that bigger city, then you want to go to a bigger city. And eventually you get to a top 10 market or a top 25 market. And that's where you start to see the fruits of your labor from a financial standpoint as well as a critical standpoint. And so that's another portion of that. So as I wrap this up, the biggest takeaway that I received from this process was find what you love, because not all creative media and arts jobs are created equal. Learning is essential, whether it be formal or informal. Always try to be a sponge and gather as much information as you can, store it away, and be able to spit it back out when you have to. And then, most importantly, you probably won't get rich. You might, but if that's your expectations, when you're 20 years down the road and into it, you may be very, very disappointed. And lastly, it's not as romantic as people always think. It can be a blast, it can be a lot of fun, but there's a lot of, the other 85% of it kind of stinks sometimes, but it's worth it. If you play your cards right, you get to meet great people, cover great events, see the world. It won't be easy. It'll require long hours, constant learning, relearning, and a little bit of luck.